Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Tiger Women's Basketball Report. As always, I'm your host, Ben Rosenbaum, and I am joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper. And, Coach, mixed bag this past week. I think if your team doesn't head up to Long Island for the rest of the year, I think you guys will be okay with that. 1-1. Let's start with the Hofstra loss, 58-57 at the buzzer. Brandy Thomas knocking down a three-pointer. Just from the start of the game, just walk us through what you thought of the Hofstra matchup.
Well, first, I just want to credit Hofstra for how they came from the tip. They were locked in, intense, ready to play. They outplayed us for 40 minutes of basketball. We went on a little bit of a run that made things interesting. But, again, credit Danielle, credit her team. They were ready to play, and we just weren't. But, again, I'm good off of going to New York anymore this year. And it was just one of those growth learning opportunities on the road to me that you have to always be ready to play. And I felt like we were flat. We couldn't get anything going. Our shots weren't falling. Our energy was lackluster. And then Mariah Wilson comes in. And she just kind of pumps us up energy. We go on a run. We let our emotions take us through that run. We have a really untimely technical foul. And then we're up 2, and we don't match up. We forget who their leading scorer is, and we double off of her, and she makes a 3 and beats us by 1.
And we'll get back to that in a second. On the boards, too, Hofstra, probably one of the best. It was their best rebounding performance, season high for them, 48 rebounds, out-rebounded you guys. And that's, we've talked about it, you win the glass, you win the game. How much did the boards play into Hofstra being able to come out on top?
Yeah, again, they were relentless on the boards. They came just ferocious with an intent to grab and secure rebounds in a way that we weren't. And credit them, again, for knowing that we try to be a physical team, I should say. So, yeah, it wasn't our day, and we have to move on.
You mentioned earlier it was a game of runs, back and forth, and we've seen games where we have back and forth and Towson comes out on top. What was Hofstra doing that they were able to not just, limit your runs from getting too out of control, but respond with a 10-0 run of their own, an 8-0 run of their own to keep things in their favor?
Ultimately, they were making shots, and they were getting second chance opportunities, and they just control possessions. I talk to our players all the time about controlling possessions, and rebounding is controlled possessions. So if you don't rebound, you don't control possessions. Ultimately, to me, that's what Hofstra did.
And then ironically, you had the game here in Siki where you made 18 of 18 foul shots, and then down the stretch, you missed 2 big foul shots in the Hofstra game that could have pushed that lead up, made it that three-pointer not mean anything at the end. And so the foul shooting happens, then Brandy Thomas hits that 3. Just on that final play, was it a matter of miscommunication on where assignment should it be, or it was just, in the heat of the moment, time ticking down, just basketball play?
Ultimately, I think it was heat of the moment, time ticking down, let's just go run at the ball, and it burned us.
Yeah. So you get to move on. You go to UNC. You come back home. UNCW comes here. 60-44. It wasn't a great shooting night for either team. We talked about it post-game. 3-point shot wasn't there for your squad, but they found a way to win. Just talk about the relentlessness from your squad, despite the ball not going through the hoop, to find a way to win. A very tough UNCW game.
Again, I think we spoke about this. Knowing Carrie Gross specifically being from the area, her homecoming, that's something that I knew she was going to be ready to play specifically. Our team did not come shooting the ball. We played a couple different matchups that were a little bit different than we're used to playing. And ultimately, we found a way to grit it out and win. And that's what February is about. I was proud of our team for bouncing back from, the devastating heartbreak loss at Hofstra to come and secure a W for us.
Battle in the post during that game. Asia Henderson coming in for UNCW, and I thought she played a really nice game for them and really gave Quinn and Taye and whoever was really matched up against her a really tough time. How do you think your bigs answered the call there and performed in the post?
I thought Ty played her best game, arguably one of her best games from a defensive end, from a rebounding end, from a finishing end, and that's the difference. We can show that we have that caliber of depth in the post. I think it makes us a lot harder to beat.
And stick with Taye, 9 points, 4 rebounds, and all of her plays, it seemed like, came at the very end of the game where you needed a play most, and she was grabbing a big board or making a bucket. take us through this season with her and her growth. I mean, the sky's the limit for her when you look at her size. Just what do you envision for Tye, and how has that growth gone this season?
Absolutely. You know, I told the team this. I'm hardest on Tye. That's just our relationship. That's also in Tye was the first person that knew I got the job before any team. That Coppin, they didn't know I had the job. This team didn't know I had the job, but she committed to me at Coppin State. I called her. I said, listen, I have 30 seconds to tell you something. You're going to hear this. I want you to hear from me. I'm going to Towson. You can't tell anyone. I want you to come with me. Yes, no. Yes, cool. I'll call you back later. I was like, do your research, get online, figure it out. And my point in saying all this is she's just been one that's been with me and for me, and that goes a long way. So I just want her to start getting confidence in who she is and how much we trust her and believe in her. And her just playing alongside Quinn, I think it's just they make each other better in practice. They make our post depth stronger. And I just hope that she believes in herself as much as we do as a staff.
All right, so you get the UNCW win, and now we're off to this week, and you're headed down to Virginia, opposite direction of New York, getting as far away from New York as we can.
Absolutely.
So 2 games in Virginia, William and Mary on Friday, Hampton on Sunday, starting with the Tribe. Last time out, beat them here handily, 75-43, did a great job limiting their three-point shooting, a great three-point shooting team, but Tribe has gotten hot recently, 4 games straight. They've been winning. Riley averaging 23.75 points over these last 4 games, and they're, first I was looking at it, okay, definitely Riley, and then I thought maybe Bellamy and Frisbee Smith were also, they've had good games, but then other depth players have responded when those other big 3 haven't. What have you seen a change in William and Mary from the last time you played them to these last 4 games?
Ultimately, their role players are stepping up. I know it's tough because sometimes I get confused with names, but I know number 14 specifically, she's a freshman, I believe. She is just playing extremely well as of late. Everyone is making shots. They do a great job of doing their job, making shots. Sammy Wagner and Riley Casey are what they're going to be. And also they have a forward coming off the bench is playing solid for them. We know that this is going to be a battle. I will make sure that our team knows just the emphases in this game. It's still guard the three-point line, but most likely we can't just sleep on anyone else other than named Riley or Sammy either. So I think it's really going to be an overall defensive assignment kind of game and just being locked in because they don't really lose at home. I want to say they're like 5-1 in conference at home.
Yeah. Do you get up personally, Frizzy, when it's going to be a game where you really need to rely on your defense? It's got to be that almost like Baltimore Ravens type of defense mentality where like we've got to shut down this really high-powered offense. Do you get up for those games? Do those games excite you?
It's interesting because I just love playing and coaching. So every game is the same level of energy for me. That's why I get so frustrated with our team that they play up and down on opponents versus records. And it's so inconsistent to me sometimes. But at this point in our conference, with how close the standings are, I think that we will make sure that our team is up for this game.
Then after William and Mary, keep it in Virginia on Sunday, taking on Hampton, who you beat 86-47 here in CQ. They've had an up and down year. They're 5-7 in the conference. You look at their schedule; it's win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. What have you seen from Hampton, and what do you expect from Hampton down in Virginia?
It's interesting. Taylor, 2 different, completely opposite scouts from William and Mary to Hampton. And I think just even in our preparation this week, my goal always is to prepare them for the weekend in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice. So Hampton is tough. I want to say they might have beat A&T as well. They're going to be athletic. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to fight. They're going to claw. So it really is just going to be a matter of can we match and exceed their energy. But I expect this to be our hardest road swing as of late. We know what to expect. Now it's just getting us mentally ready for it.
And last question is, you mentioned earlier that winning games in February, grinding them out, grinding out wins, this is what it's about as you're getting closer and closer to tournament time. You mentioned the standings. We're getting close. I think you're sitting in 4th right now, tied for 4th. How much can you take from the because ultimately the tournament's what matters at the end of the day. Sure, you'd like to have the best seed you can. How much can you take away, or how important are the lessons like these gritty wins and these close losses? How much do you take from those games to get you ready for tournament? How valuable are these games?
These games mean everything, and I think that specifically from an individual development, talking to Kylie, you fouled out 4 games. Hofstra, Memphis, Monmouth, and one other game I can't remember in conference. 2 conference losses that she fouled out in, specific Pitt maybe. Just realizing you can't foul out, and just we can't be emotional. We have lost 2 games in conference on technical fouls. That is just a lack of discipline and a lack of focus. So, for us, it's just being able to continue to coach. The games that we lose on the boards. I don't know what more I can say than it doesn't matter how well we shoot if we don't control the board. So I do think these are really good lessons. I think our team is peaking at the right time. Even when, for us to win versus UNCW based on how bad we shot, I think was a big step in the right direction. So
Tigers will continue to take steps in the right direction this weekend as they head down to Virginia Friday against William & Mary and then Sunday against Hampton. Those games available on Flow Sports. For the head coach of the Tigers, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us.